course.
It's very spiritual.
Right. I was, something in me was testing it, right?
Yeah.
So at one point I was literally walking across what we call the living room. If you can call a 450 square foot cottage a living room, it's really just a room, which you could go through in 10 steps or less. And I'm walking across it, and then all of a sudden, any experience of unity or oneness just disappeared. And I don't know what happened then, because I wasn't aware of anything around me. And there was just absolute, an infinity of nothingness.
So that's when you said consciousness completely woke up.
I suppose one could put it that way. I probably have at a point in time.
So when you say nothingness,
it was like the knowing that was dawning then was that oneness arises from this. The knowing of oneness arises from this infinity of, it's like before something or nothing. So I call it nothingness, but it's, if one would think of nothing, an infinity of nothingness, and then just get rid of any idea of nothingness. Which, then one can't imagine, right?
Which is beyond, beyond, beyond.
Yes, right. Sort of like the Buddhist scripture would say, right? Beyond, going beyond, always going beyond.
Yeah.
And so that occurred. And then it was kind of like coming back in sequence from nothingness, from that nothingness, and then into the awareness of unity, right? And then so it was almost like stepping down from the source, without losing it, though, without losing it. And then to answer or to talk about what you spoke about, and then very shortly after that, still I'm in the middle, standing in the middle of the living room, not even aware of the living room at that point, and then these string of this sort of vision, which I'm not mystically oriented. I don't have lots of visions, I don't have, lots of strange, that's not necessarily how I was oriented, but I did have this sort of string of, literally in this nothingness, I would see a string of what people would probably call past lives.
Yeah. Which is here right now at the same time.
Of course. Yes. Yeah, that's how I like to always describe them. Like you had a dream at night and you dreamed you had past lives.
Yeah.
All those lives would be being created in the moment you were dreaming.
That's
so there's
right.
not any, it just feels like past.
Yeah.
So there was this feeling, and what I could see, it was like literally like little pictures out in front of me. And I could go up to each one, and it was like going up to a knot hole in a fence. When you get right up to the knot hole, then you can see everything on the other side of the fence. And all of a sudden, boom, all of a sudden I would be like in this other lifetime. And I would notice myself as someone in particular in that lifetime. And an event, something was going on. And each of those events, each of those little lifetimes, were moments of confusion, sort of real core spiritual confusion. Lots of them had to do with death. Like one of them not even knowing what happened. When I was drowning, it happened so fast I didn't even know I was dying. And I could see what had happened, and I could just go in, and the me in that moment, I could just literally just like whisper in its ear, you're dying. That's all. Whatever the point of confusion was, I could see what it was, I could go in, I could tell myself in that other life exactly what I needed to hear, and I could feel, almost like in that scene, it would just let go. And it would just kind of let go, and everything would disappear. It was like that life was rectified. And then I'd go to the next one. And then there would be what I'd see in that past life, and I would see exactly what I needed to see to bring completion to it, or resolution. And then that would just disappear. And then I'd go to the next one. And each time I did this, it was as if, and this is all metaphorical because we're speaking about something that's actually timeless, but I can only speak about it as if it's in time. But each time there would be this resolution, I could feel like this energy of resolution going backwards and forwards in time. So I could feel the resolution back at that moment, in this event that seemed to happen, and I could feel it, a resolution in this moment, in this life stream. Because whatever happening then was affecting now. It was still alive, right? And it would just release. And I just went through the ones I was shown.
So when you said you could feel it still connected to this life, where did you feel it?
That's a good question.
If nobody was there, a sensation in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah. The whole idea at that moment of, when I use these words like I could feel then and now, and I could go into this and I could go into that, there was no definition of what that I was at all. It wasn't like me as a particular person and me doing, none of that at all.
No.
It was really more, just consciousness doing it. And consciousness can go into its focal point, even like as we sit here, right? And if it comes into this focal point enough, then there can be the sense, or I call perfume of self, which is what I think all of self gets created around this sense. But it's just a sense, and that sense gets created into something that seems solid, or can be a sense, and at times that sense it just totally disappears. But at the moment all this was happening, I was not even considering what that was, because it was all like just this play. I was on all sides of, right? On this side, on that side, everything.
I'm interested in what you said, that you actually, somehow we think the absolute is the end of the road.
Yeah.
But you didn't call it absolute.
Yeah.
You said you just cannot say it. Does it mean we never know who we really are? Is there a point when we go so deep into the mystery that we lose all? Yes, that's my that's my experience. Is all the definers, even the subtle definers, which I'll use when I teach too. Awareness, consciousness. Sometimes I'll say an awake space. All these things, when they can be experienced, and yet, what I would call the ultimate is that which is inconceivable, inexperienceable, unexperienceable. It cannot come into any of these categories that we usually put it in. So it's almost like as soon as we open our mouth and talk about it, we're lying in a certain sense, hopefully with good intention. You cannot hit the point.
You cannot hit the point, because like I say, if you take something and then you take absolute emptiness, nothingness, and then you go really completely outside of duality, something and nothing, what's there when there's not even nothing? Imagination can't go there, can it? Mind can't go, imagination, experience, nothing can go. But something, that which is even beyond nothingness, before it, prior to it, that, it's there. And that's and it does know itself, but it knows itself as that which is completely, absolutely unknowable. If there's a defining characteristic, it's the unknowable. The unknowability is the defining characteristic.
I went once to this place too.
Yeah.
And I asked my teacher, and he said, he gave a name for that, and he said, that's the divine coma.
Oh, I like that. The divine coma.
Yes.
That's rather graphic, isn't it?
Yeah, you immediately
Lovely.
can have a picture. And the identification with it.
One could, I suppose. Yes, yes, yeah. But somehow there's an intuitive way of understanding that immediately.
Yes.
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 Yeah. It's there. It's always there.
Yes.
But you cannot say it.
Yes.
You cannot explain what it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That's the amazing thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not explainable, even with the words we try to use very transparent wording, I think, often when we talk about this, because we're talking about something that's so transparent, it's almost not there.
Yes.
And yet even the transparent wording feels heavy, doesn't it? Feels, dense. And it's not even really, I don't even think it's, it's not even something you can really point to. You can't really teach about it. If it happens for someone, then, you can be a mirror for them, or you can be a companion. Or you can give word to it like the, what was that word?
Divine coma.
Yeah. Yeah, and if someone's experienced that, they know what you mean, that's the humor of it, right? You tell someone who hasn't a divine coma, that's going to feel terrible.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Frightening.
Right. Right.
If you just...
Yeah.
Well, I'm aware of the time rushing ahead. Do you think, Adya, you reached some kind of end, or
no?
Are you still? Is it still expanding? Like the universe is expanding, we are expanding with it.
To me, it's sort of a paradox in description, because it's sort of that ultimate ground, which is outside of time, expanding, contracting, more, different, deeper, all of that. It is what it is. And yet, it itself has an infinite capacity to reveal itself.
Yes.
We can call that revealing of itself deepening, never ending. Or in the Buddhists would say, always being, always becoming.
Right.
Always being, always becoming. And that rings true for me. Always being. It's like this infinity is always, I always think of it almost like a jokester, like going, look what I can become.
Yeah.
I can become the greatest insight you've ever seen. Here, try me in that form. That will not exhaust me. Here, I'll give you this, try this, and try this, and try. And yet so I think of it as an inexhaustible infinity. In that sense, what reveals itself is infinite. But what is revealing itself is, there's never more nor less of it, is there? No more, no less, at any moment in time.
Well, it's a beauty, the mystery.
It is, yeah.
I'm sorry we have to finish. Adya, it was wonderful talking to you. I just want to show some of your books. It's The End of Your World, which is, I just love this book. It's actually written for people who had an awakening experience or are awakened. A meditation book, which is CD inside, which I don't know how it's called. I lost the cover. True Meditation. Secret is Silence, poems, which are very beautiful, and Emptiness Dancing. It's a great title. And the last book Adya wrote is Falling into Grace. And if you go on Adya's website, you find lots and lots of wonderful CDs and teaching. So thank you for being with us.
You're very
Adya.
welcome. I enjoyed you so much.
Thank you, and thank you for watching Conscious TV, and I'm sure I see you again soon. Bye-bye.